Have you ever wondered how long you can carry grief in silence before it starts to wear you down? I used to believe being strong meant staying quiet, holding it together, and never letting anyone see how much it hurt. But real strength isn't silence. It's understanding what your grief really means. And that's what I want to show you today in this video. How my StillDad Letter Workshop, a 5-part journey of calm guided reflection, can help a dad who's lost his baby at birth, a dad who's been hiding his pain to stay strong, realize that strength isn't silence. It's actually understanding what his grief really means. When I lost my son Hashim, I told myself I had to be strong. My wife had gone through something I just could never truly understand. She carried our son. She lived through the physical pain, the shock, and the heartbreak. I thought my job was to hold it all together. So I told myself, my grief, it didn't count. Silence, I believed at that time, was how I was going to protect my family. But that silence started to break me inside. It followed me to work, into my home, into every corner of my day, even in my car, the one place I could finally let go. I found myself crying behind the wheel. For a few minutes, I could fall apart without fear of anyone seeing me. I then hastily wiped my face, took a deep breath, and carried on. I didn't realize it then, but I was carrying love that I couldn't put anywhere. And over time, that love, trapped and unsaid, started to wear me down. And yet, I kept it all in. I threw myself into work. My business used to run around the clock, and those night shifts under the dim lights of my office became my hiding place. It looked like to everyone I was coping, but I really wasn't. I was just running away from the noise inside my head. At home, the silence grew heavier. My wife didn't want to talk about what happened, and I didn't want to push her, to be honest. So we went quiet. Our conversations became shorter, not out of anger, but out of fear. Fear of bringing up what we had both lost. Fear of hurting each other even more. And one quiet evening after another, walls started to build between us. Even when I was surrounded by family, I felt far away. I remember when my brother's wife became pregnant and their son was born. Naturally, I was happy for them and I smiled, but inside, I was hurting. It cut deep, and I felt the ache of what could have been. And then there was the guilt. It showed up too. Guilt for not saving my baby, guilt for not knowing how to help my partner, and guilt for even feeling my own pain. But it wasn't only guilt that kept me silent. It was also fear. Fear that if I opened up, I would fall apart and never find my way back. Fear that silence had grown into a part of who I'd become, a dad who looks strong on the outside, but is quietly breaking on the inside. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe both of you have stopped talking and the silence has grown louder. Or maybe she needs to speak and you don't know how to. Either way, you're carrying the same load, trying to protect everyone else while wondering how much longer you can keep it up. You tell yourself you're okay. And that is what we dads do. But deep down, you know the truth. It's getting harder to carry that love you never really got to give to your little baby. You see, I know I can't bring my son back. And for a long time, I didn't know how to deal with that truth. The question that stayed with me was, what would he want me to do? It took me a long time to understand that. But eventually, out of that pain, I began creating the StillDad Letter Workshop, a 5-part journey of calm, guided reflection for fathers who've lost a baby. It's grown from a space I couldn't find when I needed it most, a space where silent grief isn't something to fix, but something to understand. You see, I didn't want therapy, and I didn't want to sit in a circle and try to explain myself. I just wanted somewhere quiet where I could make sense of what my silent grief meant and what my love was trying to say to me. That's what this reflection journey offers. If you don't want to, you don't even have to talk. You don't even need to find the right words. Each part simply guides you to listen to your grief, to your love, and to the voice you thought you'd lost. And little by little, you start to see that silence was never the enemy. It was love with nowhere to go, waiting for you to give it shape, waiting for it to be heard. When you start putting your pain into words, even for yourself, the load begins to shift. You see your story differently. You begin to carry your baby's memory with peace instead of pain. And you know, this isn't about moving on, as a lot of people say to us when we lose our baby. It's more about moving closer to yourself, to your partner, and to your child's memory. So, if this is where you want to begin, then the door's open for you. I've dropped a link in the description below for you to download a quiet reflection guide. It'll give you a glimpse of what the StillDad Letter Workshop feels like. If this speaks to you, I'd really like to hear from you also. Your thoughts might help me shape what this workshop could become for dads like us. That's the world I want to build with this. A place where dads can grieve openly and still be respected, where vulnerability isn't a weakness, but rather a strength. And it starts with us, one dad at a time, understanding his own grief. Because, you know, you don't have to carry this grief alone, and your love doesn't have to disappear. It's just finding a new way to live within you.